Okay, so let me quickly go through changing the number of decimal places in your dimensions. Okay, so one of the criteria, one of the things that you have to do in the final project is you have to adjust the number of decimal places in certain dimensions. Not all dimensions. Some of the dimensions are 3 decimal places, and you're asked to leave those as 3 decimal places. Others are 2 decimal places. So let's just look at that real quick. And sorry about that. Let me pull this over there. There we go. All right. So the instructions say to change the dimensions that are 2 decimal places in the book to 2 decimal places in your drawing. So dimensions like the 1.8 and the 0.4 and the radius 3.00 are going to be 2 decimal places in your drawing. The instructions also say that in some cases you're going to leave the dimensions as 3 places, and actually that's only 2 cases. Okay, 2 cases in the thread note. Right, you can see 4 times 0.375-16 UNC. That's going to stay 3 decimal places, and that's not really a big problem because you're gonna manually be putting that in anyway. So you know that's just manually typed in. And then this dimension right here, right? So we've seen this on a couple of other drawings, and I've already explained what it is. It is a tolerance dimension. All right, so this 3 times diameter 628 to diameter 625 means that these 3 holes, there's 1 hole here, there's 2 holes, that's the second hole there, or this is the other view of it, and then the third hole is right down here. These 3 holes have a diameter, a range of acceptable diameters of between 3/8 of an inch, 625, and 0.628 inches. Okay, now from a drawing point of view, you can draw the circle in the drawing at any one of these numbers, 625, 626, 627, 628, anything like that, you can draw that. That doesn't matter. When you dimension it, I want you to ignore the tolerances, right? So we're not talking about applying tolerances in this class. That's the next class, actually. So whatever you draw this is, if you draw these 3 holes as diameter 625, then you're going to dimension them as 625. But it will be 3 decimal places, okay? And that is the standard for our dimension style that we've been using, 3 decimal places. So really, the main thing that you have to do is change your 3 decimal places to 2 decimal places, with the exception of the dimensions that I just talked about. So let's talk about how you do that. Okay, so we're going to look at this this drawing, and I've already gone through the workflow for preparing the drawing for dimensioning. Okay, so I already have this set at a 1:1 scale in my viewport. I already have the annotation scale down here set to 1:1. So I'm ready to start dimensioning. I am going to change my layer to the dimension layer. All right, and I'm going to go to annotate and make sure I have the ANSI style. The annotative style, which I do. Okay, so now I'm ready to dimension. So let's put some dimensions on here. And these, by the way, these are not going to be, I'm not going to purposely put dimensions on the drawing that are the same dimensions that you necessarily need to put on. Okay, so I don't want you to view this as an answer key, or I'm giving away answers or whatever. So you'll still need to judge this. But let me just put on. So how does this workflow go when you're changing the number of decimal places? Well, first and foremost, just put on the dimensions. Don't worry about the number of decimal places. So let me just put on a few dimensions here. We'll put on a, whoops, let's get that. Put on a, yes. Put on a linear dimension. We'll grab that right there, and this And let's put on a, here I'm going to go ahead and do something here. I'm going to put a circle with a center here and a radius right there. And that's going to be a radius 3. And I'm going to trim that between here, and then I'm going to offset 0.09. If you're wondering what the heck I'm doing, you'll see in a second. I'm just preparing for a dimension that I want to put on here. So I'm going to get rid of these construction lines. This gets changed to a center line. And now I can dimension with a radius here. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm just pretending that I'm going through the normal dimensioning, right? This is exactly what you would do. We're not going to be changing any of these dimensions right now. We're just going to be putting them on there, and that's really what I suggest. Now you'll see down here, actually, this is a good time to talk a little bit about one of the suggestions I made in the last video. So I said to not put on your fillets and rounds yet, okay, until after you've dimensioned. And the reason that you do that is because you can get misleading dimensions. So watch, when I do this, so if I want to dimension from here to here, well, where am I going to dimension to? See, I have an endpoint here. I have an endpoint here. So, I end up getting different dimensions, and it's unclear which one is correct, right? And that's because I have this fillet in there, right there. All right. So that's why I say don't put the fillets in yet. Put the fillets in after you get the dimension. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo my little fillet there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fill it with a radius of 0. That's a little trick that you can do to undo that, and you get an actual corner in there, right? And then let me go ahead and erase this. So this is what you would see right there. That's not going to be there, and we get that 0.8. Okay. Let's get a couple of other dimensions in here, right? So I'm just giving you examples of dimensions. That's all. And we got another one in there. So we have another problem right there. Let me fill it. Let me get rid of that curve. Get rid of that right there. And we'll put in, so I think I hope I just made a very good case for why you're going to dimension, you're going to put the fillets and rounds in after you get done with the dimensions. Okay. And I'll go through that too, because I want to show you, I like showing you, things that you're going to encounter so you can be a little bit wiser in how that works. Okay. So let's just say this is I'm done with this. I'm ready to start. Oh, actually, let me do one more. We'll do this diameter here, and we'll go that there. And I know this is going to be a spot face, right? You can see that is going to be a spot face. Actually, you don't see the other view, but all right. So let me add that spot face symbol. So I'm going to go to annotate and double click on that, and we go to symbol, and we go to other, and we go AIGDT, right? We choose the AIGDT font, and then you find spot face, select copy, close, Control V, backspace, double click, and then come up here and change this to 125, which is the text height. Okay. All right. So let's say that we're done with the dimensioning of this, and now we want to go back, and there's two things left to do. We have to change the dimensions to have 2 decimal places, and we need to add in the fillets and rounds here. So we'll just pretend that these are the only ones that I need to add, and then what's going to happen. Okay, so changing the number of decimal places is really pretty straightforward. Okay, so what we're going to do is pick any dimension, right? So I'm going to pick this 1.3, and I'm going to click on that once. Then I'm going to click the right mouse button, and I'm going to go down to Properties. Okay, Properties. And the Properties window is going to pop up. There it is right there. Let me just pull it across here. All right, the Properties window is going to pop up. And it is the properties of, you might have seen this in the Intro to CAD class. If you've already had Intro to CAD, then, you know, we spend a lot of time talking about this with dimensions. But in case you haven't, this is the properties of the selected object, in this case the dimension. You can see that it is listed as a rotated dimension. And what we really want to look at here is the primary units right there. So I'm going to expand that by clicking on this triangle. And I'm going to go down here to the very bottom where it says precision. Precision is AutoCAD's terminology for how many decimal places you want to show. And in this case, I want to show, see it has 3, I want to change this to 2. And lo and behold, it changes right there. So now I can close this window by clicking on the X. Actually, it's not a window, it's a palette, I'm sorry. And then we can hit escape a couple times, and you can see where we've changed that one. So that's done. Now, if you're thinking, oh God, so I got to do that for all these dimensions, boom, boom, I got to do this one and this one and this one. Oh my gosh, that'll take me a long time. No, the answer is no, you don't have to. You just do it for one, and I'll show you. Let's go back to home. There's a command here, a command called Match Properties, and it is a wonderful command. So watch what I do. I click on Match Properties, and it says Select Source Object, and this is my source. And now it says Select Destination Object, and watch what happens. See what it's doing? It's applying that dimension property to all those. Now, if you're wondering, wait a second, what the heck happened here? Why did that, when I clicked on the radius, why did it put this big old honkin' green center mark in there? Well, that's a complicated issue. It has to do with the dimension substyles that we have set up in this annotation style. And so that's something that you have to be careful with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo that last one. Right, and actually I'm going to undo all of those. There we go. And I'm not going to do the radius and the diameters. I'll do those separately. Okay, so let's go back to Match Properties, pick our source, pick. I'm not going to do this, right? Because you can see, look at that right there. See it put in the green thing? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do that one. And then to do the radius and diameters, because these are technically substyles in our dimension style or children, I'm going to do these separately. So click on that, Properties, Tolerance, 2 decimal places, right? And I'm going to now do Match Properties just with the radius and diameters, okay? So we're not going to talk about substyles or dimension children or anything like that. That's, you know, for the Intro to CAD class or a larger discussion. So the rule is here, use Match Properties. Change one dimension and then use that as a source to change the other dimensions. Separate your diameters and radiuses and do those separately. Okay? All the other dimensions can be done the same. If anything screwy happens, just undo it and you know and redo it. All right. Now, so that's changing our the number of decimal places. Now let's go back here. So let's change this now. So we're going to go to fillet. Where is it? Fillet and radius 0.1, like it says in the book. And I'm going to click on this line, and I'm going to click on this line. And it puts it in there, and you go, wait a second here, what the heck is going on? Now it's all goofy. Yes. So this is one of the issues with having fillets in your object like this. Okay, so the way to avoid this is we have to create extended objects, okay, or extended lines in this case. So what does that mean? We have to go like this. I'm going to draw a line. Actually, I'll keep it on the dimension layer. It really doesn't matter. I'm going to draw a line from here to here. And I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to grab this corner and I'm going to draw it up at, this is 60 degrees, right? So I'm going at 60 degrees. Whoop, there we go. That extended, this is called an extended corner. That extended corner is where I want my dimension to start. So I'm going to click on that and I'm going to move it right down there. I'm going to click on that one and I'm going to move the blue box right there. Okay. And then I can erase my extended corner. All right. Now you'll notice here we have like a green dot that's in the middle of space. That green dot is the intersection of those extended edges. Okay. Do not try to erase that green dot. That green dot will not print. It does not print. It's on a layer that is hidden from view. All right. And that is what we call the origin of the dimension. Okay. This was confusing to me when I was first learning AutoCAD because I'd see all these green dots or whatever color dots they were when you do dimensioning. These dots are put on a layer that is not visible. Let's see if we can, right there, it's on the def points layer. Okay. That layer is set to not print. And you can see that right there. See how the printer is grayed out? So that means it's not going to print. And that's what that feature is. And why you can't get rid of it. Because if you get rid of it, guess what? The whole dimension goes away. Okay? So that is how we handle those. Let me put this last one in here. Fillet. We go like this and we go like this. We can click on this one. This one's a little bit easier because we have that right there. Well, no, we have to extend that again. So I'm going to draw a line like this. And draw a line like this and extend this. And then we'll just make sure that we move this grip. That's called a grip. That blue box is called a grip. And we'll erase these lines right there. And that way we keep our dimensions correct. That is, the number is correct. And we dimension to extended edges. So again, the extended edge is the extension of the line or the edges, the surfaces that extend beyond the round or fillet. So that's the intersection that we want to dimension from. Okay. So, all right. Well, I think that's it. All right. So we looked at changing our dimensions to 2 decimal places. And we looked at how to deal with the fillets and rounds for this object. Like I said, save the fillets and rounds for towards the end of finishing the object. I've tried different things. I'll give you a little bit of a heads up and stuff. I've tried different things. I've tried to, one thing that you can do is put all your extended objects like this, right? So you don't have to draw them and then erase them. What I've done is I've put these extended lines on a different layer. So you could just use one here, like maybe the images or notes layer. It really doesn't matter. You could put it on the construction layer would be a good one. And then you just freeze that layer before you plot it. So you can go like this, and these would be on the construction layer, right? And then you don't have to erase them because all you do before you plot is you just freeze the construction layer. And what that does is that saves you some time in drawing them and then having to erase them. All right. Another way to do that, it makes the drawing a little bit busy and crowded. Another way to do that is instead of just freezing that layer before you print it, would be to make that layer a layer that does not plot. And that way they stay visible, but they're just not going to plot at the end. And you do that by going to your Layer Properties Manager and clicking on, where is it right there, the little printer right there. I tend to feel like that makes the drawing look a little bit busy, hard to kind of see things. So I like to keep them on there and then just freeze and thaw when when I want to or don't want to see them. All right, so there you go. That's the last little tip that I have for that. If you have any questions, please let me know.